Hey there, it's Jacques from Heroes and Legends, and welcome to another edition of This Week in Magic the Gathering. So I have a few different topics to talk about this week. I wanted to start things off, though, by mentioning congratulations to Jim Davis for winning the Star City Games Players Championship for 2015. If you're not familiar with this event, basically it's the Star City Games open version of the World Championships for Magic. For any players that participate in the Opens, if they win some of the major events through the course of the year, they get invited. Or if they have the most Star City Games points at large, they get an invite. And it's an invitational tournament, rather small. They play Standard, they play Legacy, they play Modern. So it's a small metagame, so you have to kind of plan around that. But a big accomplishment to even get invited, number one, and number two, to win the whole thing is pretty awesome. So I wanted to take a moment to recognize Jim Davis for that accomplishment. Pretty awesome stuff. And the side story of the weekend, too, was Patrick Sullivan. This was his last time commentating, at least as a full-time employee of Star City Games. He is moving on to work for Activision. So kudos to him. Congratulations. I know this is something that's going to be a really cool opportunity for him. But the reason I bring this up is because Patrick Sullivan has been really beloved, I think, as a commentator. And I wanted to share a little bit of my thoughts about the work he's done. Now, he's still going to commentate periodically every once in a while, I think when his schedule allows. So he won't be gone. But he won't be there almost every week like he is now. But I will say, I think he's probably the best coverage guy in Magic the Gathering, and that includes Star City Games as well as Wizards coverage that they put out. He has excellent chemistry with Cedric Phillips. They do a fantastic job, and many people feel that the Star City Games coverage is better than the Wizards coverage, and I think Patrick Sullivan and Cedric Phillips are a big part of that. Really, I found that Patrick Sullivan can break the game down. He's very intelligent about the game, being a pro himself. Of course, he should be, but he's very good at articulating what's going on and what players are thinking and what players should be doing. And he does it in a very positive way, but he's going to make sure he gets all the information out to you. He breaks things down in a way that new players can understand, and he does it with a great sense of humor. He's very light. He's very funny. One of the funniest guys in coverage. I'd say the funniest guy in coverage. I can listen to Patrick Sullivan all day, even if I'm not interested in Magic and I'm entertained by him. It's going to be sad to see him go. Even my wife, who isn't super into watching coverage, I mean, she plays Magic, but she's not super into coverage. She likes listening to Patrick Sullivan because of the way he explains things and because he's funny. He's a funny guy. So good luck, Patrick. Thank you for everything you've done for this community and for Magic, and I'm glad you're not gone, but we'll be seeing less of him, which is kind of sad, but again, happy for him. Now let's move on to a couple things that are going on in the world of Wizards of the Coast. So starting off, this is some relatively new news. Wizards made a statement that there were a number of bannings recently, and basically it's a very short statement, and you have to read into it a little bit, but basically they're talking about their bannings have something to do with compromising the confidentiality of Wizards. So in other words, we're talking about leaked cards. Now, I tried to put a little bit of information together just from looking out at message boards and kind of seeing what people are talking about. So none of this is facts or coming from Wizards, so take it for what it's worth. But what we do know is this: a number of people were suspended, mostly, I believe there are about 6-month suspensions in most cases, but a lot of judges were suspended, level 1, 2, and 3 judges, and there's not a whole lot of level 3 judges. A lot of this is taking place in the southeast portion of the country, and a good amount of their level 3 judges in that part of the country are now suspended in DCI. So who is this involving? What it sounds like is somebody was involved with leaking some cards, and this doesn't sound like it's the big leak. It sounds like this was the initial small leak in the beginning when we saw Kozilek and saw the Wasteland land. That is really what this seems to be about. The bigger leak really does feel like it was someone at the printer or the foiling process that got their hands on the cards. So maybe we'll learn more about that later. But this seems more to be like that small leak that we saw. Now, people got suspended for being involved in the leak, but a lot of people also got suspended for not reporting the leak. And I think this is judges in a lot of cases that maybe heard something or knew somebody who was leaking information and didn't share it. Now, there also have been some reports out there that there's been people who did try to tell Wizards or contact Wizards, and they still got suspended. So take it for what it's worth. Like I said, at this point, it's just kind of rumors, just things flying around out there. Wizards isn't going to come out and give any more of a statement than what you're seeing here, basically. But at least they're taking a stance on it. Leaks are not good for the game. We talked about it in the last episode. Definitely check that out if you're interested in my thoughts on the whole leak itself. But leaks really aren't good for the game. They're not good for Wizards. They're not good for the community. They're not good for the players, in my opinion, anyway. So, Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast, they have to protect their property and their business, and that's how they're gonna have to do it. I just hope nobody kind of got drug into this that really was innocent, and that probably has happened to some degree to somebody, but they're showing that they're taking a serious stance, and I think judges and maybe even other players in the future, if they know of something, maybe a little more quick to report it, or at least maybe think along the lines of, wow, maybe this isn't right, maybe I should report it. And that's not a bad thing. One other thing, I'll leave links, of course, in the description below for both this article and also for Arthur Halavia's Twitter as well, so you can take a look at this. But he's basically kind of like the manager for judges, and he had a little bit of a lengthier statement, just saying, yes, judges weren't involved in some of these bannings, and again, just saying we don't take lightly any issues that's compromising integrity of our intellectual property, so on and so forth. So kind of what you'd imagine. And there you have it. So I'll tell you, like I said, I feel like this is what Wizards has to do. A lot of people will feel probably that Wizards is really attacking the community, attacking people that are passionate about Magic, attacking their own judges in some cases, but they really do have to protect their properties. Without intellectual property, you really have nothing, and they need to really protect that. The other piece to this that is not really related, but there was recently a story that came out that there was a person that made a patch for Magic Online that lets you see the vintage cube with the old artwork, basically, and he got a cease and desist letter for that program. So again, it's just another example of Wizards really being harsh on people who are just passionate about the game, just doing things that are passionate and showing their love for the game, but at the same time, they are business and they do have to protect that property. They have no choice. Without it, they have nothing. So there it is. Take it for what it's worth. And finally, just want to do some question and answer. So I have a couple questions to go over. If you have any questions for me, feel free to put them in the comments below. And next episode of This Week in Magic the Gathering, as long as we have time, I'll try to get around to answering them. So I have a couple for today. First is Brian Clem, who asks, besides the Dark, do you have any other favorite sets? And I mentioned in a previous episode that Dark was my favorite set. And that was around the time I was getting into Magic and beginning to play Magic, and I really loved playing with that set. I just love the theme of it, and you have that connection to cards from your beginning, I think, of playing Magic. So another set that I have a lot of passion around is probably Fallen Empires, and that's a set that came out after the Dark. And I mean, I do love a lot of the ones that came out before the Dark. Alpha Beta Unlimited, of course, is amazing. I love Legends and Arabian Nights, but for whatever reason, the Dark and then Fallen Empire really just kind of struck a chord with me, and just really enjoyed the flavor for the most part for those sets. Looking back, they're not like super strong or necessarily amazing sets to play with. There's only a couple cards out of those sets that you've probably even heard of today, things like Maze of Ith, Blood Moon, stuff like that, but they were really fun back in their time. So having said that, a couple other sets that are a little more contemporary that I enjoy would be things like Cold Snap, because again, it's a throwback to Ice Age, but it actually works a lot better than cards worked back in those days. And Time Spiral is one of my favorite sets in more recent history, just because of all the throwbacks to old Magic. I love the subtle throwbacks to the more heavy-handed ones. I love the mechanical throwbacks. I love the throwbacks to the lore. It was just really awesome to go back to Dominaria and just have all those kind of inside hints to cards we've played with in the past. I thought it was really cool, and I love the time shifted reprints. It was like getting 2 rares in every pack. It was really awesome. I love that set, and the whole rest of that block also is just a couple more of my favorite sets. Planar Chaos, which took basically what Time Spiral is doing to the next level, and you start seeing things like in this example, you get a blue Sarah Angel, and they have different card frames for those type of plane shifted cards, and those are really cool. And then finally Future Sight, which again you got a unique card border, which was awesome, and you got to see things that were throwbacks to the past but how they could be done in the future, and in some cases were actually done in the future. So those sets were awesome. And then finally I want to acknowledge the 2 Ravnica blocks, the original and of course Return to Ravnica. I think what I like about these is you have the 10 guilds in both the blocks, and you get so much variety. You get a lot of different mechanics, but also you get control archetypes, you get aggro archetypes, sometimes you even get kind of almost combo-ish archetypes from some of the guilds like Dimir. So it's just kind of cool being able to play in a set or in a block that has all of those tools available to you, so you can go in a lot of different directions. It just feels very open. You don't feel like you're kind of shuffled into one type of mechanic. I've kind of felt that way with the Theros block a little bit. I felt like if you're not doing kind of the colors matter theme, you're doing it wrong, where this is very open and you're doing a lot of different things, and you can kind of go to the guilds that you enjoy, which is pretty awesome. So yeah, those would be some of my favorite sets. Next is Legendary Hero 7, who asks, lore-wise, who's your favorite Planeswalker? And card-wise, which Planeswalker has your favorite card? I'm going to give the boring answer first and tell you what my favorite Planeswalker card is. And I thought hard about this, and unfortunately, I came up with Jace the Mind Sculptor, which probably seems pretty obvious and probably not super exciting. But I thought about what Planeswalker I probably played with the most, and yeah, I guess it would have to be Jace. And I do like the card. I like the fact he's got the 4 different things you can do. I love that the 0/1 is Brainstorm, and he can Fate Seal. Like, I like that again, and I guess it goes back to the theme of throwing back to old sets and old cards, but I just kind of enjoy that aspect of the card. And of course it is incredibly powerful. And pretty much, obviously banned in Modern, but pretty much it's a legacy card, maybe a vintage card a little bit too, but I really do enjoy playing with Jace the Mind Sculptor. And you know, it's interesting because I think older players like myself, I don't know if I identify super close with a lot of Planeswalkers because they weren't around when I was playing Magic the first number of years that I played the game, but I do like the concept. I do like the cards and that they're out there. As far as the Planeswalker who lore-wise or character-wise I enjoy the most, I have to say it was Teferi. Teferi, to me, I'm a little sad that we only get a Planeswalker version of him in the 1 Commander deck from last year. I'd like to see him in an actual release. But of course, lore-wise, he lost his spark, so this is kind of a throwback to when he was a Planeswalker. But I hope someday we get to go back to Dominaria and that he maybe regain his spark. I think that'd be awesome. I think he'd be an awesome character to bring into the bigger Magic world, whether he's a blue Planeswalker or multicolor or whatever. I think he'd be awesome. I just think he's a great character. And again, I guess it goes along with the theme of me liking a lot of the old stuff. I mean, he was a main character in the Mirage block, and of course in the Time Spiral block, he was the one that kind of saved the plane by giving up his spark and giving up his power. But he's just an awesome character, and I hope we see more of him in the future, and not just in a special set, but in an actual like standard release. That'd be really cool. So having said that, those are the questions, and that's the episode for this week. So hey, as always, thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and have a great day.
Hey, thanks as always for watching. This video, like all my videos, was made possible by the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Even a donation of $1 helps me to keep growing this community and creating better quality videos for all of you. Check out our Patreon page for exclusive giveaways and future goals for the channel. If you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the MTG news, spoilers, set reviews, product openings, or finance videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon, and have a good day.